Have you ever had your blood pressure taken at the doctor's office and thought, wait, what does that number even mean, and why is it different every time? You're not alone. Blood pressure is one of those things we all know matters, but most people, even smart, health-conscious folks, don't fully understand how it works. And unfortunately, that misunderstanding can lead to some common and costly mistakes, especially as we age. So today, we're going to talk about the 4 biggest blood pressure mistakes that nearly every senior makes, and more importantly, what you can do to avoid them. Because here's the truth. Getting your blood pressure right isn't just about avoiding heart problems or strokes. It's about protecting your memory, your energy, your independence, your life. And the good news? It's never too late to take control. Let's start with a quick refresher, just to clear up any confusion. Blood pressure is simply the force of your blood pushing against the walls of your arteries. You'll usually hear 2 numbers. The top number, systolic pressure, shows how much pressure your blood is exerting when your heart beats. The bottom number, diastolic pressure, shows the pressure when your heart rests between beats. Ideally, you want to be somewhere around 120/80ths. But here's the thing. Those numbers can change a lot, depending on your habits, medications, stress levels, and more. And that brings us to the first mistake. Mistake number 1. Ignoring good enough readings because you feel fine. This is a big one. A lot of people, especially after 60, stop paying close attention to their numbers because they don't feel any different. I feel fine, they'll say. My pressure was a little high at my last checkup, but it's probably stress. I'm not worried. But here's the issue. High blood pressure is sneaky. It doesn't always come with symptoms. It can quietly damage your heart, kidneys, eyes, and even your brain for years before you feel anything at all. And when we talk about brain health, this ties directly into memory loss. A lot of seniors notice they're becoming forgetful and chalk it up to age. But did you know that high blood pressure is one of the leading causes of memory loss? It damages the tiny blood vessels in the brain, reducing blood flow to areas responsible for memory and decision-making. Over time, this can lead to something called vascular dementia, which is entirely preventable in many cases. So if your readings have been creeping up, even if you're not dizzy or tired or having chest pain, please don't shrug it off. That good enough reading might not be good enough for your long-term health. Now let's move on to another surprisingly common slip-up. Mistake number 2. Taking blood pressure medications inconsistently, or not at all. I've heard this from so many folks over the years. I was prescribed a blood pressure pill, but I only take it when I remember, or I stopped taking it because it made me feel tired, or even, I don't want to be on medication forever. And listen, I get it. Nobody wants to be on daily meds. But skipping doses or stopping without a doctor's advice is risky business. Blood pressure meds don't work like aspirin. You don't take one and get immediate relief. They're designed to keep your numbers stable over time. If you take them inconsistently, your pressure can spike and crash, putting stress on your heart and brain. That can lead to everything from mild brain fog to full-blown strokes. And here's another layer people don't always realize. Some of the medications you take for unrelated things, like anxiety or depression, can also affect your memory and blood pressure. Memory loss from depression, for example, is very real, but it's often reversible with proper treatment. Same with sleep deprivation. If you're not sleeping well, your brain doesn't have time to reset, and that leads to trouble focusing, remembering, and even processing simple tasks. So it's all connected: your blood pressure, your sleep, your medications, your memory. It's like a spider web. Tug on one strand, and the whole thing can shift. That's why working with a doctor you trust, and actually following through with their advice, isn't just about being a good patient. It's about protecting the quality of your life, not just the quantity. Now, there's a third mistake that's so simple, most people don't even realize they're making it. Mistake number 3. Only checking blood pressure at the doctor's office. Raise your hand if this sounds familiar. You sit in the exam room, a little anxious, maybe rushed. The nurse wraps the cuff around your arm, it squeezes tight, and she calls out, 142/85. And just like that, you've got a label, high blood pressure. But here's the catch, that number might not be accurate. Why? Because your blood pressure can go up and down throughout the day, based on everything from your emotions to what you ate for breakfast. There's something called white coat hypertension, which means your pressure goes up just from being in the doctor's office. It's incredibly common, and it can lead to unnecessary medication if it's not confirmed with home readings. That's why having a home blood pressure monitor is such a game changer. It puts the power in your hands. You can check your pressure at the same time each day, track your numbers over weeks, and start to see patterns. Maybe you're always high after a salty meal. Maybe your numbers dip when you've had a good night's sleep. This kind of personal data is gold. It helps your doctor make smarter choices with you, not for you. And it also helps you take ownership of your health. Because let's be honest, it's easy to forget something once it's out of sight. But when you're checking in regularly, it keeps your health top of mind, and that alone can change everything. Alright, we've covered a lot already. Blood pressure that seems good enough might not be. Medications only help if you take them properly. And checking your pressure once a year at the clinic? Not enough. Now that we've talked about how important it is to take your readings seriously, stick to your medication plan, and check your blood pressure regularly at home, let's get into the next common mistake that can silently wreak havoc on your health, especially as you get older. Mistake number 4. Not managing stress and lifestyle habits that keep your pressure high. Here's something most people don't realize. Your emotions and habits are just as important as your prescriptions. If you're constantly under stress, barely sleeping, eating too much processed food, or sitting for most of the day, your blood pressure doesn't stand a chance. You might be taking all the right pills, but if the rest of your life is out of balance, those pills are just doing damage control. Let's talk about stress for a minute. You might think, I'm retired, I'm not stressed. But stress isn't just about jobs or deadlines. It can come from financial worries, loneliness, chronic pain, family issues, even feeling like you're losing your independence. And your body doesn't care where the stress comes from. When you're under pressure emotionally, it responds physically. Your heart beats faster. Your blood vessels constrict. Your blood pressure rises. And if it stays up long enough, that starts to take a toll on your memory too. Yes, stress can cause memory loss. It doesn't just affect your mood. It literally shrinks the part of your brain that helps you store and retrieve memories. And over time, that foggy feeling, walking into a room and forgetting why, losing your train of thought mid-sentence, that becomes more frequent. More frustrating. But here's the encouraging part. It's not always permanent. Studies show that when people reduce stress, whether it's through mindfulness, therapy, gentle exercise, or even just having more meaningful conversations, their memory often improves. The same goes for sleep deprivation. When you're sleep deprived, your brain doesn't have time to process and store information properly. You might forget names, dates, even important conversations. But when you start sleeping better, your memory can come back online. So if you've been feeling foggy, don't jump to the worst case scenario. Sometimes, it's not aging or early dementia, it's exhaustion. Or stress. Or that second glass of wine at dinner. These are things you can change. Now, I know change can feel overwhelming. Especially if you've had the same routines for decades. But it doesn't take a total life overhaul to see big improvements. It just takes a few conscious steps in the right direction. Start with movement. Not intense workouts, just movement. A 20-minute walk after dinner. Light stretches in the morning. A few laps around the house if you're stuck inside on a rainy day. Movement gets your blood flowing, lowers stress hormones, and helps your heart work more efficiently. And it makes a real difference to your blood pressure. And then there's food. Let's be honest, most of us grew up in a time when salt, butter, and canned foods were just normal. But these days, we know that too much sodium can drive your blood pressure up fast. That doesn't mean your meals have to be bland. It just means getting a little creative. Use fresh herbs. Try lemon juice or garlic to add flavor. Switch to low-sodium options where you can. It's not about going on a strict diet. It's about being just 10% more mindful, one meal at a time. Another thing that gets overlooked? Hydration. You'd be surprised how many older adults are walking around mildly dehydrated without realizing it. When your body is low on fluids, your blood volume drops, and your heart has to work harder to pump it. That can lead to lower blood pressure in some, but in many others, it swings the opposite way and triggers high blood pressure spikes. So drink your water. Set a reminder if you have to. Your heart will thank you. Now let's bring this back to something I mentioned earlier, memory loss in younger adults. You might have children or even grandchildren in their 20s, 30s, or 40s who are already showing signs of forgetfulness. That might seem shocking, but it's becoming more common. And guess what some of the culprits are? Yep, chronic stress, poor sleep, lack of exercise, and high blood pressure. These things are creeping into younger lives earlier than ever before. So if you're watching this and thinking, I wish I'd known this when I was younger, don't keep it to yourself. Talk to your kids. Share this with them. It's not just about us. It's about making sure the next generation doesn't repeat the same mistakes. Now before we wrap this part up, I want to touch on one more thing that often gets overlooked in conversations about blood pressure: medication side effects. Sometimes the very pills we're taking to protect our health come with their own baggage, fatigue, dizziness, even brain fog. But here's the good news. There are many types of blood pressure medications out there, and you're not stuck with the first one your doctor prescribes. If you're experiencing side effects, speak up. Your doctor isn't a mind reader. Tell them how you're feeling. There may be an alternative that works better for you. You deserve to feel good, not just stay alive. You don't have to trade one problem for another. Same goes for medications that aren't even for blood pressure. Antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, even over-the-counter allergy pills. They can all affect your memory and focus. But again, these effects are often reversible. You're not losing it. You just might need a tweak to your treatment. And finally, don't underestimate the role your mindset plays. People who believe they can stay sharp and healthy tend to take the steps that make that true. It's not magic, it's just commitment. A few good habits, practiced consistently, can help prevent memory loss in old age, reduce your need for medication, and give you more energy and confidence. Blood pressure is one of those things that sounds simple, just two numbers, but it's tied into everything. Your heart, your brain, your stress levels, your habits, even your relationships. But the power to manage it? That's in your hands. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. You know, one of the most powerful things you can do for your health after 60 isn't something dramatic. It's not running marathons or going on some strict diet. It's paying attention, just a little more than you did yesterday. Noticing how your body feels. Tracking what's working. Catching the small signs before they become big problems. Because when it comes to blood pressure and really, your overall health, it's the little things that add up. And the truth is, it's never too late to turn things around. Let's go back for a moment to something that hits close to home for many people: memory loss. For a lot of folks, memory problems start gradually. You misplace your keys more often. You forget what day it is. You tell the same story twice. It feels frustrating, maybe even scary. But what's often missed is that high blood pressure can be right there in the background, quietly contributing to the problem. That's why managing your blood pressure isn't just about avoiding a heart attack. It's about keeping your mind sharp, your personality intact, your ability to live independently, your memories of people you love, things you've accomplished, moments that matter. You're not just protecting numbers on a chart. You're protecting you. Now, some people ask, what if I've already been struggling with memory issues? Can it be reversed? And the answer is, sometimes, yes. Especially if the memory loss is linked to things like depression, sleep deprivation, or stress. Those causes don't leave permanent damage in most cases, if they're addressed. When you treat the underlying issue, memory can come back. Not always instantly, and maybe not completely, but it can improve. That should give you hope. But that's also why it's so important not to wait. If you've been feeling off, more forgetful than usual, more tired, more irritable, don't write it off as just getting older. Get your blood pressure checked. Talk to your doctor. Ask about your medications. Look at your sleep and your stress. You'd be surprised how often these pieces are all connected. There's no shame in needing help. In fact, asking questions, taking initiative, that's how you stay in control. It's how you make informed choices instead of reacting after the fact. That's strength. That's wisdom. And don't underestimate the power of your daily routine. A few simple habits can make a world of difference. Get moving every day, even if it's just a stroll around the block. Eat foods that fuel your heart, not ones that fight it. Cut back a little on salt, drink more water, and give your body the sleep it deserves. Take your meds if they've been prescribed, and don't skip or double up unless your doctor tells you to. And here's something else that matters more than people realize: connection. Staying socially active, keeping in touch with friends, laughing, sharing stories, these things lower stress. They improve brain health. They literally protect your heart. Don't isolate yourself. You don't need a huge social circle. Just a few good connections can be enough. Now, let's not pretend any of this is always easy. Life gets busy. Old habits die hard. And change can feel like a mountain sometimes. But you know what makes it easier? Progress. When you start to feel better, when your mind feels clearer, when your next checkup shows your blood pressure is lower, that motivates you to keep going. One win at a time. And don't forget, you're not in this alone. Millions of people in their 60s, 70s, even 80s are making changes every day to protect their health and stay independent longer. You can be one of them. And honestly, you already are, just by taking the time to learn, to pay attention, to care about this stuff. That's more than most people ever do. So let's recap, not with a list, but as a conversation with yourself. Have you been trusting a good enough blood pressure reading, even though it's been creeping up? It might be time to take a closer look. Have you been skipping meds, or afraid to talk to your doctor about side effects? You deserve better, and there are better options. Have you only been checking your blood pressure once in a while at appointments? A home monitor might give you real peace of mind. And are you managing your stress, sleep, and habits, or just pushing through, hoping things improve on their own? Maybe today's the day you start making a shift. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about perfection. It's about protection. Protecting your heart, your mind, your quality of life. And you have more power than you think. So if no one has told you this lately, let me be the one to say it. You're doing great. Even if you've made mistakes. Even if you're just starting to pay attention now. Every step counts. Every small improvement matters. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And if this video helped you, or made you think, or gave you something to work with, stick around. There's a whole lot more where this came from.